everybody, this is Stitch Jones, and I'm back with another How to Armor 3 video. So in between school and work, I haven't had a whole lot of time to do anything with Arma, but I have been thinking about this idea for about 6 months. My idea was to try and simulate UAV operations without having to babysit the UAV while in game. Now, I'm not a coder or a scripter, but I do know how to use a couple of really simple lines to make objects do what I want them to do inside Arma while using the editor. So the first part of the video, I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Basically, what I want to do is have this UAV take off, fly to a couple of waypoints, and along the way, those waypoints are going to determine whether or not that UAV has enough fuel to continue on with its mission, or it needs to turn around and go back to its base and refuel. So the first thing that I'm going to do is pick up this UAV terminal, and we're going to open that up. We're going to use the UAV terminal so that we can track the UAV itself and also the fuel status on the UAV. I have this UAV's fuel state set to 0.35 to start out with. The first waypoint is just an altitude waypoint, so the UAV will change its altitude, fly to the second waypoint. When it hits the second waypoint, a line is going to check the fuel state on the UAV and determine whether or not it is equal to or less than 0.28. And if it is equal to or less than 0.28, it will send the UAV back to the airport, which is the land at code that I'll talk about later. The UAV will land, it'll proceed over to an area that I have set up at the end of the flight line, and that UAV will take on fuel, go back down to the start point of the flight line, take off again, and fly back to the waypoint that it was supposed to have gone to, and it will resume its mission from there. So as you can see, he's already deviated from the pre-plotted path that I have set up using those waypoints, and he's on his way back to the airport. So at this point, he's landed, he's heading down to the end of the flight line, and he'll be re-entering the taxiway in a couple of moments. Now, what I've done is I've set up a trigger on this end of the flight line that will automatically set the fuel state, which is now at 26 or 0.26, back to 1 or full, or in this case it'll be 99, and then the UAV will continue on its merry way back down the flight line, back down the taxiway to the end of the flight line, and take back off again. So as I said, he's fully fueled, he's heading back down the taxiway, he's going to enter the end of the runway and take off again. And then once he takes off, he's going to head back to the waypoint that he was previously going to. And on the way there, he will gain altitude back to the 1,000 meters that I had him set to before. And once he gets there, he'll establish his orbit, he'll stay on station for about 15 minutes or 900 seconds, and then he'll move off to the next waypoint. He'll fly that one for about 15 minutes or about 900 seconds. So he'll end up doing that back and forth between those two waypoints until his fuel state is back down to 0.28. He'll head back over to the airport, he'll land, he'll refuel again, and he'll take back off again. So you can see his fuel state is at 9.2. At this point, he's flying his orbit, as I said, and once he's done with that orbit, he'll move down to the second waypoint, and then he'll move off to the cycle waypoint and back to the first waypoint. So he'll basically just fly between those 2 points. So you have ongoing coverage over that area, that bay. So now we're back in the editor, and I'm going to show you the things that I set up in here to get this to work in the most simplest way I could do it. So you're going to click on your object, or in this case your UAV, and you're going to give it a name under variable name. This one's name is Stalker11, so I used SR11. So next I'm going to move over to the first waypoint that I laid down, and I'm going to set that up with an altitude, or basically an instruction for the aircraft to climb. And in this case, I used 1,000 meters. And you can see the code up above, which I'll also put in the notes. Hit OK, and then I'm done with that one. So then we move off to the second waypoint, and this one's line of script is a little more involved. This is the line of script that tells the waypoint to send the aircraft back to the airport if his fuel state is below a certain number. And it also directs him to fly at a height of 1,000 meters. Now, this is a demonstration, so this is why these waypoints are set up the way they are with the lines of script and the fuel in the UAV set up the way that it is. So the first three waypoints are your basic move waypoints. The fourth one, which is what I want him to do, is loiter over a certain area. That one has the same line of script in it, only now you have to set up the loiter attributes. So what I've done originally was gave him a 1,500 meter loiter radius and a 1,000 meter altitude. And you can also see the timer values that I set up. So remember I said he was going to loiter for about 15 minutes? That's where I punched in the 900 seconds to get him to loiter. So from here, you just set up the direction of your loiter. You set up your altitude and how big you want it to be. And the last waypoint that we have set up is a cycle waypoint. It's going to send the aircraft back to the first loiter so he can repeat what he was doing initially. After that 15 minutes is up, it's going to send him to the second loiter, and it's just going to repeat that cycle, hence cycle waypoint. So the last thing that I have set up here is the trigger that is going to reset the fuel state for the UAV. So what I've done is I dropped down a trigger, I've made it an oval shape, its dimensions are 10 by 20 by 10, that last 10 is the altitude, and what I've done is I put another if statement in the on activation box. If fuel Stalker 11 less than or greater to 2.28, then Stalker 11 set fuel to 1. And 1 is full, 0 is empty. Now as you can see the trigger has no type. It is activated by Blue 4. It is present, and you make it repeatable so that it can be used multiple times if you'd like it to be. And there are no other attributes that I set to this. No countdown, no timer, no timeout, none of that stuff. So, and there you go. That's my poor man's method for setting up hands-off refueling for autonomous vehicles. Now, barring the vehicle getting shot down or it crashing or running into another vehicle, you're set. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.